Did you know that a lot of Germans missed an opportunity to get a Nobel Prize because of Adolf Hitler? Well, the Austrian-born German dictator was cruel not only to millions of Jews, but also to various other Germans as well. It all happened in 1936 when the 1935 Peace Prize was awarded to German journalist Carl von Ossietzky, who was a fierce critic of Hitler. This gesture was perceived by Hitler as a condemnation of Nazism and, to be honest, made him infuriated. Well, this ultimately made Hitler take the decision of not allowing any German to accept the Nobel Prize. All the hard work you did, the efforts you put in, and the time you invested in getting the Nobel Prize went in vain, just because your dictator didn't like the idea of the Nobel Prize being awarded to his critic. There were around 3 deserving Germans who were to be awarded the Nobel Prize during the era of the Nazi regime. Unfortunately, they were not allowed to accept it because of Adolf Hitler. This is just one example of how cruel and sadistic Hitler was. There is a huge list of such events. In today's video, we will discuss the life of Adolf Hitler, how he came to power, and what his downfall was like. On April 20th, 1889, in Braunau am Inn, a town in Austria, Hitler was born. Alois Hitler, a customs official, was his father. His mother, Clara Hitler, was someone to whom Adolf Hitler was extremely attached. However, his father didn't treat him that well, and they always used to change their place of residence. When he was young, his father used to treat him in the worst manner possible. The family also used to move from one place to another quite frequently. For this very reason, Adolf Hitler had a limited amount of formal education and was largely self-taught. He spent his years in Linz before relocating to Vienna. In Vienna, Hitler encountered racism for the very first time ever in his life. He claimed in his book Mein Kampf that he became anti-Semitic, hostile towards Jews, in Vienna. However, most of his friends did not agree with what he wrote. In fact, one of his friends, August Kubitschek, had said that before Hitler even left Linz, he was a confirmed anti-Semite. Well, if we talk about Hitler's interests, he always wanted to become an artist. Alois, Hitler's father, when he rose to prominence in the customs office, wished for his son to join customs. Hitler, on the other hand, held the opposing viewpoint and wished to pursue art, which his father Alois disapproved of. He twice attempted to enroll in the Vienna Academy of Fine Arts to become a painter, but was unsuccessful. Due to the fact that he wasn't very talented, he was turned down. However, he was encouraged to apply to the School of Architecture by the director of the Vienna Academy of Fine Arts, but he was unable to do so because he had not completed his senior secondary education. He painted for a living and worked as a construction worker and snow sweeper. Hitler fled to Munich in 1913 after Austrian authorities discovered that he had avoided serving in the country's mandatory military service. Hitler, however, preferred to provide his services to the German military, which would later prove to be a perfect platform for him to get into politics. He applied to join the German army at the start of World War I, and although he was still an Austrian citizen, he was accepted into the military. The 25-year-old Austrian-born Hitler joined a Bavarian regiment of the German army in 1914 after receiving permission from King Ludwig III of Bavaria. He worked as a dispatch runner on the Western Front in Belgium and France, spending half of his time behind the front lines at the regimental headquarters. The First Battle of Ypres saw Hitler serving in this army. Hitler claimed that his regiment, which had a total strength of 3,600, was reduced to just 611 during the conflict, and that he was one of only 42 of 250 military men. Hitler suffered a left thigh wound in October 16 while fighting in the Battle of the Somme. On March 5, 1917, he rejoined the regiment after 2 months of recovery at the Belitz Hospital. Interestingly, a Jewish comrade once recommended him for the Iron Cross after he was wounded at the Battle of the Somme. The British then launched a mustard gas attack against the Corporal Hitler the night of October 13th and 14th, 1918. It is often claimed that Hitler spent the remainder of the war recovering from temporary blindness while learning of Germany's surrender in a military hospital. Although many people say that this was a fake story that Hitler made, in reality, he was being treated for a psychiatric disorder known as hysterical blindness. Also, it is said that during his time in the hospital, the idea of liberating Germany and making it a great nation came into his mind of Hitler. Hitler started collaborating with German ultranationalists soon after the war. He contributed to the development of the National Socialist German Workers' Party, usually known as Nazi, over the following years. Hitler rose in the party hierarchy and developed a reputation as an orator. His public speeches, frequently held in beer halls, captured the attention of thousands of infuriated Germans. Hitler was detained following a coup attempt in 1923 and given a 5-year prison term, which he served for less than a year. In his brief time behind bars, Hitler wrote Mein Kampf, which translates to My Struggle, an anti-Semitic political autobiography. Hitler's ideology resonated with ordinary Germans because he blamed Jews and foreign powers for Germany's problems rather than the German people themselves. In each election, the Nazi Party increased its representation in the German government thanks to Hitler's well-received message. The Nazi Party garnered the most seats in the Reichstag, Germany's parliament, following the elections in that country in 1932. Hindenburg chose to make Hitler chancellor after Hitler narrowly lost the presidential election to him. But as Hindenburg's health deteriorated, Hitler soon seized the majority of the legitimate authority in the German government. Hitler put an end to the presidency and combined its powers with his own in 1934, making him the de facto leader of Germany after all parties other than the Nazi Party were declared illegal in 1933. When Hindenburg died in August 1934, Hitler was the undisputed successor. With the economy improving, Hitler took credit and solidified his dictatorship. In preparation for war, German industrial machinery was developed. He was well prepared to implement his grand strategy, as detailed in Mein Kampf, by 1937. At the Freie Conference in November 1937, he gathered his most important military advisors to discuss his plans for global dominance. Those who voiced opposition to the plan were dismissed and removed from services. No doubt, the dictator Hitler gained a lot of power over the following years and exploited it to brutalize and kill millions of Jews and various other minorities in Germany. In 1938, Hitler gave the order for Sudetenland and Austria to be annexed. On September 1, 1939, Hitler's army invaded Poland, prompting England and France to wage war against Germany. Country after the country started to fall to the German war machine as they swept through most of Western Europe. In the year 1941, Hitler broke a non-aggressive agreement he had made with the Soviet Union in August 1939. Following the invasion of the Soviet Union in June 1941, a number of early victories were reversed by humiliating losses at Moscow, December 1941, and Stalingrad, winter 1942-43. In December 1941, the US entered the war and conflict. By 1944, Italy, a key ally of Germany, which was governed by the fascist dictator Benito Mussolini, had lost the war. Throughout the war, numerous attempts were made to kill Hitler, but none were successful. He committed suicide on April 30th, 1945, as the war seemed destined for failure, and his own lieutenants that he selected by himself disobeyed his orders in light of the futility. Eva Braun, his longtime mistress and recent bride, also committed suicide. He married Eva Braun, his longtime companion of 11 years, just hours earlier than suicide. Even though Hitler died, the eradication of 2/3 of the Jewish population in Europe, which was his main goal, was already achieved at that time.